So the last sensors in the temperature measuring sensors are the thermocouples. So these are based on the Seebeck effect. So a German physicist named Thomas Johann Seebeck, he he took two different metals and connected them in series, and thus a junction was formed. So if we check in the figure, we can see that a metal A and metal B, two different metals are connected in series manner, thus forming a junction which is denoted by the red dot. As well as here, the same metals, the metal A and metal B, are connected in series to form another junction, which is also shown in blue dot. He found that whenever such a junction is formed between two different metals, an EMF will be generated. This is known as the Seebeck effect, and all the thermocouples are based on this Seebeck effect. So a thermocouple consisted of two such junctions which is connected each other to form a circuit. Now this Mr. Seebeck also found that the larger the difference between the two metals, metal A and metal B, the higher will be the EMF produced by the junction. So a thermocouple involves a complete circuit having two such junctions as shown in the figure. We can see that the metal A and metal B is connected to form a junction here, and also metal A and metal B is connected in series to form a junction, another junction here, and the two junctions are connected to form the complete circuit. So according to the Seebeck effect, an EMF 1 will be formed here and EMF 2 will be formed here. So the overall potential difference between the two junctions can be taken out as V out from the circuit. Thus, by knowing the potential difference, the temperature difference between the two junctions can be found out, and if the temperature at one end, which is known as the reference end or the reference junction, is known, then the temperature at the other end, which is to be found out, can be measured or calculated. So this is how a thermocouple works, and usually the reference end is kept at 0 degrees Celsius for the ease of calculations. The voltage or the potential difference from the circuit is dependent on the two metals used for making the junction, as well as the temperatures at the two junctions. So the total potential difference V out is given by E equal to AT plus BT square, where A and B are constants which is characteristic to the metals and the temperatures of the measurement, and this equation is applicable only when the reference end is kept at 0 degrees Celsius. Thus, the thermocouple can be used to measure the temperature when the temperature at one point is known, which is the reference end. Thus, for the working of a thermocouple, there should be a temperature difference between the two junctions. Then only an EMF can be generated and the potential can be taken out. Similarly, the metals used should also be different. That is, the metal A and metal B should be used. Then only the Seebeck effect will be coming into effect, and an EMF will be generated at the two junctions. Now, based on the combinations of the metals used for developing the thermocouple circuit, reference letters are given. Now, the table shows some of the commonly used thermocouples and their reference letters. It also shows the temperature range over which these thermocouples can be used for the measurement of temperature. Similarly, it shows the sensitivities of the different thermocouples. For example, in case of iron constant, it has a reference letter of J. It works in the temperature range of minus 200 to 900 degrees Celsius and has a sensitivity of 53 microvolt per degree Celsius. So the working of a thermocouple can be summarized as the different materials gives different EMF at different temperatures. These three conditions should be satisfied for the working of the thermocouples. Now the graph shows the variation of the EMF given by different material combinations identified by the different reference letters at different temperatures. the various combinations. For example, the J is the iron constant combination used for developing the thermocouple, and how its temperature, the EMF generated by it varies over the different temperatures is shown in the graph. So the working of the thermocouple is based on two more laws. The first one is the law of intermediate metals. The second one is the law of intermediate temperatures. So the law of intermediate metals. A thermocouple circuit can have other metals in the circuit and they will have no effect on the thermoelectric EMF, provided all the junctions are at the same temperature. So this law is illustrated with the figure first one. Now if we consider the figure without the dotted rectangle, it will be a normal thermocouple with two metals A and B and the two junctions at T1 and T2. So it will be giving out an EMF 1. Not the unit 1 but EMF 1. Okay, now if we add a third metal C wire into this thermocouple diagram, now two more junctions are formed shown in the black dots. Now if these two junctions are at the same temperature, the EMF generated will be same and hence it will not affect the total potential output of the circuit. Thus, for a perfectly working thermocouple diagram circuit, we can add any number of metals provided the junctions formed by the newly added metals are all at the same temperature so that the EMFs will not be affecting the original potential output. So this is known as the law of intermediate metals. Now the second one is the law of intermediate temperatures. Now for the tables and available data of the thermocouples, the reference temperature or the cold junction is kept at 0 degrees Celsius. With that reference, the higher temperature is calculated. However, for most of the practical applications, to keep the reference temperature at 0 degrees Celsius is not possible. In such a cases, the law of intermediate temperatures can be used. So consider an intermediate temperature, say 30 degrees Celsius or I. Now the original temperature to be measured T with respect to 0 degree will be equal to the original temperature to be measured with respect to the intermediate temperature I plus the I to be measured with respect to the 0 degree Celsius. This is illustrated in the diagram, second diagram. So a thermocouple measuring T3 and T1, where T1 is the 0 degree Celsius or the reference temperature, it will be the EMF given out by this thermocouple will be same as the EMF given by the thermocouple between T3 and T2, where T2 is the intermediate temperature, plus T2 and T1, where T2 is the intermediate temperature and T1 is the reference temperature, which is 0 degrees Celsius. So these two values with reference temperature T1 will be obtained from the data book, and the temperature to be measured from the practical applications can be found out. This is the law of intermediate temperatures. Now a question is posted here. You can work this out and we will discuss this question in the next class. This is based on the law of intermediate temperatures. The data for the this question is also given. So the final one in the temperature sensors is the thermopile. It is actually a combination of the thermocouples connected in series of parallel, and each of which consists of two different materials. As seen in the diagram, here it consists of the thermocouple is made of two materials, copper and iron, and they are having different polarities at the junction, negative and positive, to initiate the flow of electrons. Now as this group of thermocouples are combined together in series or parallel connection, and a total output voltage is taken with the combination of these thermocouples. Now the basic function of a thermopile is to convert an incident thermal radiations emitted from a black object into an EMF or voltage. So if we check the second figure, it shows the working of a thermopile to convert these radiations into voltage. Now it has a group of two thermocouples connected in series, and the junctions, the hot junctions are kept at the top and the cold junctions are kept below. Radiations are falling on the top with a heat flux Q double dash. Now a thermal resistance layer with the thermal resistivity of K is placed to stop the flow of heat from top to the cold junction. Now usually a black body would be placed over the top of the hot junctions. Now the incident radiations falling on this black body would be absorbed by the black body completely. As a result, the radiations would be converted to thermal energy, and the and the temperature of the black body will be rising. Thus, the hot junctions will be reaching a temperature T1. The cold junction is usually kept above a sink, usually silicon substrate, so that the temperature remains constant at T2. Now, since there is a temperature difference between the hot junctions and the cold junctions, a EMF will be developed by the thermocouples in combination of series, and the resultant EMF will be taken out across this insulation layer. This is the functioning of a thermopile. So from Stefan Boltzmann's law, we know that the incident energy will be equal to the absorptivity of the black body, which is 1, into Stefan Boltzmann's constant sigma into T1 raised to 4 minus T2 raised to 4, where T1 and T2 are the difference in temperatures. Here the T2 will be the surrounding temperature and T1 will be the temperature of the hot junction or the temperature of the black body, and the resultant amount of energy, heat energy, will be then converted to the potential difference, and from that we can measure the temperature. So this is how a thermopile is used for the conversion of thermal radiations incident on a black body into a useful EMF.